Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode. There's going to be a very exciting episode because I've never interviewed a musician before of this magnitude. We got with us a badass guitarist from the killer group Until I Wake. We got August Lee Geitner.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me on.
Uh, Trust me, it's an honor to have you on, my friend. Uh, so before we get into like the band and the history of the band and everything like that, take us back to when you were a child. What was like some of your musical influences, and was a musician what you wanted to be all your life?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I was super lucky. I was always raised around different kinds of music. So my mom would raise me on a little bit of everything, really, but mostly like Alice in Chains, a lot of like 90s grunge, and then Eminem, and so a lot of good hip hop from the 90s. And then my dad raised me on a lot of classic rock, and so did my grandmother. She every time we went over, it seemed like she'd have like a Doors record playing in an actual vinyl. She had this record player. I actually have one just like it because I remember it so distinctly. But yeah, she'd always have a Doors or Stones or Beatles record playing. And then I kind of found metalcore myself. That was kind of like my something I found myself through just, online. But yeah, heavily into like classic rock and everything. That was a huge influence on me in like 90s to early 2000s grunge and new metal and rock for sure.
Oh yeah. Uh, so growing up listening to various genres of music and like drawing inspiration from various ones, was there a specific moment growing up that you was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life?
Oh man. Um I can't even say if there was I think if there was ever a specific moment, my dad would probably tell everybody this. We went to it was my first concert actually. It was a Motley Crue concert. Crue Fest 2009, I think it was. And yeah, he took me to that and I watched it and I was just like my jaw dropped and I was mind blown. It was like Godsmack and Motley Crue and I forget Theory of a Dead Man or something like that. So yeah, that was inevitably just insane. So I think I remember telling him I was like, yeah, I want to do that for the rest of my life. That's fucking badass. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Uh, and was the guitar always the instrument you wanted to play, or are you versed in like different instruments and just kind of in general?
I loved it all. I still do. Only like I wanted to play the drums so bad, but it's so hard to do that because like your parents don't really want to hear you beating on a drum set. And, it's like so I never did get around to like picking up the drums. It just was never there was never a convenient time or place to do it. That's something I do want to eventually learn. I can program them on a computer and build drums on in my recording software just fine, but I can't play them live. But bass, I've played for a couple years for a few bands. Guitar has been the main thing, and then I love doing vocals, but that's more so like on my own like projects at home. So
Yeah. Uh, so kind of take us in the beginning journeys of your journey into like your first band and like so forth and so forth until you found your niche with Until I Wake.
for sure. Yeah, it was a weird thing because I grew up in a small town, like a lot of other musicians, and not knowing how the fuck it was gonna happen. Can I swear on this?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How it was gonna happen or anything, and even like so, I grew up in a town called Attica, New York, and prison town, and and Buffalo, which was about 45 minutes to an hour away, it just seemed like a whole other world to me, and like even to play local shows was like, oh my God, like that just seemed so far fetched. And then through obviously networking on MySpace and Facebook, I met some people in Buffalo, and I was lucky enough to have some friends who would come out and pick me up and bring me out to the scene and just go to shows. Then my one buddy asked me if I wanted to be in his band, play bass, and I said, yeah, absolutely. This is a band called Kings and Kingdoms, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. That was the first one and first serious one, and but serious locally. And yeah, that was cool. And then that just kind of stemmed into like branch out into meeting like other people in the music scene. And when that came to an end, I ended up joining actually my current bass player's old band. And that's how him and I met, bass player up until I wake. Um, and then I ended up joining his other band after that. It's sometime down the road. And him and I just kind of like always kept tabs and everything. And like that's kind of how we ended up in Until I Wake together. He started Until I Wake, and then he kind of just got all of the like main guy, like the people who he knew would commit to a band and not be like, oh, I got the job and I got this and that, and it's like, yeah, no, the four of us at the time, we were really like Until I Wake was like, it's everything. So it was kind of like just making trips to the studio and putting all of our paychecks at the time when, like we would work and take all our paychecks and put it into studio time, music videos, marketing especially.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Uh, I would guess that the beginning stages was not. I mean, everyone gets told no. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a given. Uh, when you guys were told no, obviously it didn't stop you guys because here you are. And I mean, trust. I can tell you one thing for at least in this household, your music played almost daily. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
but when you started getting no's and then you finally got, people started saying, okay, we'll take a chance on you and stuff like that. What was that feeling like?
Oh boy. It was so surreal cuz like yeah, we had definitely gotten a few no's. Everybody does. And we had gotten a few offers over, actually, to be 100% honest, everything happened pretty quick in retrospect, but like it felt like such a long time. So we released our first song in January of 2021. I believe it was 2020 or 2021. I can't remember 100%. But and then we actually got our the label who we're with now, Fearless Records. They're great. And we got that offer in, I think it was November of the same year. So really it happened in like a 10, 11 month span actually. But we got a few offers along the way that we were like, like, nah, probably not. And we'll just stick it out. Because we were just going to stick it out independently until we did find something that clicked. We had no problem doing that. But yeah, no, we got hit up pretty quick actually after releasing about four, I no, it was five songs with music videos. And yeah, when they reached out to us, I remember we got the phone call and I just had like, I don't know, like my stomach was in my, like in my throat. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, I'm one of those people who's like, this is probably too good to be true, like, I'll believe it when it happens kind of thing and everything. And
All right.
then it was a good 6 months of just like back and forth before we actually signed a contract. And that whole 6 months was just torture. We had recorded our first album without even actually being signed yet, and we had no idea how the hell we were going to pay for it if the you know the contract fell through or whatever. But it luckily all worked out with that.
No,
And yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, so it was relatively, like you said, a kind of a quick rise, a turnaround for the better.
yeah.
Uh, so going on your first tour, what was that like?
Oh, it was so exciting, so exciting. It was scary. It was so scary. 'Cause, I mean, we'd all played in, local shows before, and once you get in the like once you start touring and playing shows daily, it's it's really not. It is different from playing a local show for sure, but it's like at the same time, it's really not. Um, Unless you're headlining, that's a huge difference. But it's you know I don't know. It was just exciting and terrifying all at the same time because we didn't know what the hell to expect. We didn't know what we were doing. We it was just kind of like, oh, this is happening. And so I don't know, it was just really amazing. I remember the first show, I think it was in Boston, we played, and it was so cool. It was also, unfortunately, the same day that oh geez, I feel awful for not remembering his name right now. I'm so bad with names. The drummer of Foo Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
I forget his name too, but I know who you're talking about.
Same day that he passed away, and I can't even think of his name right now, and that's horrible. But yeah, so I'll never forget our first show, of course, because of that. I remember we were at the merch table selling merch, and one of the other bands came up to us and they're like, "Did you hear that he passed?" What, really? Yeah. So obviously that was a big day for sure.
Oh yeah. Uh, so I know that everyone knows your music is metalcore and stuff like that, but there's a deeper meaning to your music.
Yeah.
It's uh I don't want to get it wrong. You guys tackle like mental health issues and addiction and stuff like that. Was that something you guys all came together and was like, this is the message we want to put out, and this is how we're going to do it?
Not necessarily, to be honest. Really, it's a lot of it's very personal to Cody, to be honest. And there's a lot of that's personal to us too, but like the majority of it is very personal to Cody. And then but the second album that we had just released last year, that was a little bit more because we had a different singer for that album. That was a little bit more of like, all of us working together on that one, and but yeah, for everything with Cody on it, that's a lot of that's him. There's some songs like "Hope You're Happy" that was written a lot about a situation that I was in the past, and then Ryan has some songs where he's put a lot of heartfelt things into, um, and but yeah, I mean the first album was very very much so Cody for sure, and yeah, it was a lot about just like personal struggles, personal demons, a lot of personal demons, and um he's definitely a good one to talk to about that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I hope to at one point have every single one of you on separately and then all together if I can make that possible. But
That would be awesome. Maybe I can talk to the guys and get that to happen too.
I'd appreciate that. Uh, so here's a question that I don't see a lot of people asking. Like 10 years from now, do you still see yourself being just in the music scene, or do you want to be doing more? Because I think you've gotten recently involved with movies.
Yeah.
Uh, would you do you like 10 years from now? Do you see like yourself being a jack of all trades?
Oh, absolutely. The funny thing is, so like movies is something that I've always wanted to do. I was, raised around a lot of movies, raised around a lot of music. So those two things, like I've always just been absolutely obsessed with. Music, of course, at the time when I was a kid, that felt like a thing that was so far out. And then up until only really like a year or two ago, movies still felt like something that was like, yeah, right, forget about it, like that's never gonna happen. But luckily, my amazing wife, through her connections and through movies that she's done, she's opened my world up to that a lot, and I'm super grateful for that because that's really something that I've always wanted to be involved in. So 10 years from now, I'm hoping to be doing equally, as much with music and movies. I really love both. So that's the goal, honestly.
Oh yeah. And so when I had Amber on, it kind of like completely slipped my mind. But you being a musician, her being an actress, and kind of like your worlds kind of being the same but kind of different, and your time schedules, most people would let that like be a main focus. How do you guys keep it synchronized and like together?
Oh man, it is not easy. It's not easy. Yeah, it's just kind of like valuing your time and working the best you can with what you got. Like there's some scenarios where like I just absolutely can't make it to something that, she's got going on, or, if she's like, "Oh, do you want to be involved in this project?" And then a lot of times I'm able to say yes, but there's times where I have to say no, I can't. And then, it's it's tough for sure, but we figure out a balance between her scheduling and my scheduling, and somehow it meshes perfectly. It's crazy, especially this year because she has a lot of movies lined up, and my band has a lot of shows and tours lined up. But somehow we're lucky enough that they just kind of all are like lining up into the pockets where, like, when I'm home, I can actually do the movie things and then not have it conflict with bands. So that's cool.
Oh yeah. So being uh, being in a group that is pretty much on the like metalcore scene and everything like that. I do like when I listen to it. I definitely hear that, but I hear like little things like you said early. You said earlier. You said like classic rock. I hear some of that coming out too.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
but my wife, who she listens to what she listens to, but she loves death metal and metalcore and everything like that. But she's like, I detect a little bit of like you said, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of
Yeah.
pop. Is that something that you guys thrive on, or is it just something that you like to sprinkle in so you can get fans of all genres?
Yeah, I think it's just something that we were just like I think it definitely was a conscious effort to try to I think it was a conscious effort to just like be diverse, because we all of us do love so many things. Like, well, I mean, all my bandmates, they all love so many different kinds of music. My guitarist Nico and I, we're the ones that are super heavy into like classic rock, and yeah, I mean, he loves everything, but we click on classic rock a lot, and modern metalcore, but and then my bass player, him and I click on like hip hop a lot, and he loves so many different things. And then my drummer, he loves country music, and he actually got us into country music, and we all love that now, and it's really cool. So then, but early on when we sat down to write, we were just like, I think we were listening a lot to like Jeezy and like Halsey and like Post Malone, and then we were listening to like a lot of heavy shit. So we were just like, dude, let's like combine this element with this, so let's combine this with this, and like you said, the rock, and the rock, that was a huge element. I remember when we wrote our song Nightmares. Um, the chorus riff in that. I was telling our producer, I was like, dude, we got to do this riff. It's like because it just like sounded super rock and roll to me, and I was like, dude, we absolutely have to have rock and roll elements in our music. We have to.
Oh yeah.
And we all love. I don't know if you've heard of Asking Alexandria, but they're phenomenal. Their second album, Reckless and Relentless, was hugely influential to us. It's just like this dirty, gritty, fast-paced hard rock and roll and metalcore, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to
So
check them out.
yes,
Uh,
definitely do.
so my wife, who's camera shy and refuses to come down to the studio, she asked me to ask you a question. She said that do you compare yourselves to anyone else in the industry, or are you just in your own lane?
It's actually funny you say that because I've thought a lot about that this past year. And I've been trying to think of like, damn, if we could compare ourselves to anybody, who would it be? Because like I said, we do get that sometimes. We're like people who've never heard of us, and they're like, "Hey, are you in a band?" And who would you compare yourself to? And I actually have to stop and think. So I'm like, I actually don't know. I really don't know. Um, just because, like, yeah, because of our songs having like a lot of bands, they have hip hop elements in their music these days. A lot of bands have rock elements, sure, but like there's nobody that I can really just be like, oh yeah, like sound a lot like this band. And if we do, if somebody thinks we do, it definitely wasn't a conscious effort because it's more so we just kind of wanted to be in our own lane, and be our own thing. 'Cause it's like, oh, you have this band, yeah. Well, why do you want to sound like that band when we already have that band? You want to be your own thing. And but it's very hard to do that, especially today when music is so oversaturated.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, no, I think it was just like, oh, it's hard to compare to me anyways to anybody. But yeah.
oh yeah. On a personal note, I can tell you since I've started listening to your music every morning at work, because I work at a car factory where we build like motors and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I put on until I wake, and it's just like my day goes by, and I'm like, damn, it's either I was at a rock concert or I really did this shit. So, you
Thank you.
oh yeah. But the song that like every day, the song I start off with is Octane.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So, but it's funny, you'll hear like every now and then I'll have it on my speaker, and my manager will walk by and it's like, until I wake again, I'm like, hey man, what you thought? But it's very influential for people, especially in bands, to be able to just reach the community and just your fans and everything like that. Is there moments where it's like fans overwhelm you with, oh my God, you guys are so great and you did this and you did that and you brought me out of bad times? Is any of that ever overwhelming?
No, no, not at all. But I have heard bands who are at a much higher level than us. I have heard that they say that it can get a little overwhelming, but I don't think we're at that. We haven't reached that point yet where it's like, oh my God, like this is a lot this is a lot. But no, I think it's right now it's just really cool to hear something like that. It's really cool to hear something like that. If the music we write touches somebody and makes their day better, I mean, hell, man, that's awesome. That's great.
Uh, uh, is there a venue you haven't played yet that is like a dream venue, a venue you have to play? It's a bucket list.
Oh, totally. The Whiskey a Go Go in California. It's a small little place, but it's got so much rock and roll history. We just played the Roxy actually this past November. Oh, October. Um, and that's right on Sunset Strip, just a little, not even that far from Whiskey. And that was absolutely legendary. But actually, apparently, Motley Crue had just played a week before that there. And I was like, John Five, fuck, dude, John Five was here. What the fuck? But yeah, so that was a really amazing experience. But yeah, I would say the Whiskey a Go Go for sure.
Yeah. Also, are there any bands or just musicians you haven't toured with that you would like to tour with?
Yeah, definitely. Man, there's so many. Um, I would have to say, to be honest, I mean, so we got to play with Papa Roach. That was really cool. But I would say if we got to play with like 3 Days Grace, that would be sick. Um, I don't know when that would ever happen, but that would be really cool. Any early 2000s rock bands really. Modern, I would say if we got the chance to play with like Bring Me the Horizon, that would be insane. Bad Omens, of course. Um, but yeah, I think those are a few of them. I think about that sometimes, feeling like who do we really want to play with? I could list off some crazy old classic rock bands that are still going. I mean, there's a lot of them but I'm like, oh, that'll never fucking happen.
So with with you guys being in the industry for a while now, still relatively, a short time, but still a while. What advice would you give to somebody who's trying to get into the industry, especially the music industry?
Oh man, just write music, just write as much as you possibly can. I've definitely learned that over the years of being in this band especially. Like, just it doesn't matter how many shitty songs you write, just and how discouraging it can get sometimes. Just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing,
Yeah.
and just keep your eyes on the vision. If you have a if you really, I know it sounds cliche, but if you really do want to do it, just keep your eyes on the vision. You can do anything you put your mind to. I mean, I never thought in a million years I'd be doing the things that we've done. It's crazy. It's seriously crazy. I thought this would never happen, but it does, and it's you know, I don't know. It just goes to show you if you're persistent with something, to some degree it is going to happen. But yeah, I mean the start of it all is just with the music, just writing great songs that resonate with people, and that's the most important thing is they have to resonate with people.
Uh,
So
uh, let's talk about movie soundtracks for a moment. If
hell
you
yeah.
could choose any movie, past, present, I won't say future because there's just so many movies, but past or
Yeah.
present, what movie would you want your music to be like the main music on the soundtrack for?
Oh man. Uh Sheesh, that's so tough. That it's so hard. Man, I would have to say probably, I would have to go with either The Lost Boys or Joker. The
I can see both.
I absolutely love those movies. I think they're absolutely phenomenal. I think the soundtrack is absolutely phenomenal on both. And I don't know. I mean, do you mean like if we had the ability to like write the soundtrack for the movies or
Yeah.
like yeah, oh my God, yeah. Either of those would be amazing. Either of those would be great.
Oh yeah. I actually got the Lost Boys poster hanging right there. So
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Actually, I have one up here too. You can't see it, but yeah, I got so
yeah.
much Lost Boys shit.
Oh yeah. Actually, so the funny thing is like I resonate a lot of like my movies. I love my movies, horror being my number one, but the
Yep,
music and the cinematography are always what draws me in.
absolutely.
And and I hate saying that sometimes because it's like, I don't want actors and actresses and directors to think I'm not appreciative of what they do, but it's just everything else.
Yeah.
And me personally, listening to some of your songs, I was like, this would be perfect on this part of this movie, or this would be see like Return of the Living Dead, Octane would be good for that when the zombie comes out of the grave.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
sick. That would be sick.
But I mean that's like one of my favorite movies of all time, but whatever. Uh but would you ever consider letting people make a movie based off of the group?
Ooh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think all the guys would be on board for that too. If that ever happened, that'd be really sick. I feel like there's not enough movies about bands to be 100% honest, unless like there's a secret like vault of them that I've never seen, or I don't know. But I know there's one been made about like Motley Crue, The Dirt.
Yeah.
There's American Satan, which is about a fictitious band. There's a few others out there. I can't think of names right now, but yeah, I mean, I think that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite movies that's based off of a group is The Doors.
Yeah,
And everyone's like, "Well, what's your second favorite?" I was like, "None really compares to The Doors." And then I was like, then I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm like, "Well, okay, now that compares to The Doors too."
phenomenal movie.
Oh yeah. My wife was like, "Well, I like What's Love Got to Do with It." I was like, "I do too, but that's not on this
Yeah,
list."
yeah. There's a movie called. So I'm a massive Rolling Stones fan. I grew up on them. I just adore the Rolling Stones. But there's a movie called Stoned, and for anybody who's also a diehard Rolling Stones fan, they know that like the controversy of Brian Jones, the original guitar player, his death and everything. And so this movie's heavily based on his death. and it's just such an amazing movie. It's so cool. It's so cool. So if anybody gets a chance, check out Stoned for sure.
Well, I'll be checking it out. I know that much.
Yeah, they did a great job on it. So,
Uh, uh, I see you got a lot of tattoos. So, two questions. What's your favorite tattoo? I think I asked Amber the same question. And what was your first tattoo?
okay. Favorite tattoo's got to be probably under my eyes. It says "Gimme Shelter," of course, a Rolling Stone song. And then my first tattoo I actually did on myself, and my parents weren't super stoked on that, funny enough. But I bought a tattoo machine off eBay, a brand new one. It was just like a cheap little kit one, and I tattooed drug free, and then something that was supposed to look like a flower, but instead it looked like some kind of alien's dick. And so yeah, I got that covered for my 18th birthday with a memorial for my grandfather. And yeah, it's a lot better now, but first one was not very good.
Oh yeah. Uh, for anybody you've worked with, including Until I Wake, is there anything you'd like to say to them that you maybe have not said to them?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think if I ever got the chance to, which I still, of course, absolutely could, but I don't know. I guess it's more of just like a thank you for giving me the opportunity to do the cool things that I've done. I mean, especially with Until I Wake, it's like hell. The things we've done is on. It's surreal, you know. Like in the moment of how busy and it can be and how stressful it can be, you have to take a step back and really appreciate it for the size of it and just really be grateful for a second because yeah, I mean, I never thought I'd do the things that we've done with Until I Wake, and we're to this day doing cool ass things. And so, you know, to my guys, you know, we've all put the effort in to make those things happen, and to my whole team, the label, our producers, and you know, videographers, anybody who's involved, and fans too. Absolutely, the fans, because without them, we would be nothing. So, you know, it's a huge thank you to all them. And then as far as getting involved in all these movies too, you know, it's a massive thank you to my wife, but it's a massive thank you to everybody who's allowed me to get involved. And, you know, I mean, it's such a cool experience. And
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to many more to come in the future, and I'll always be grateful for it.
Oh yeah. Let's go back to movies for a moment.
Yeah.
So, if or when they do make a movie about the band, who would you want to play you?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Damn, that's a really good question. Ooh, sheesh. I, wow. I don't know. I don't honestly know. I would have to circle back on that one because I honestly can't think right now. That's a
Oh yeah.
really good question, though.
I've asked other people that question that just people local here in Michigan, and they're like, some of them was like, well, this person would be great, and I'm like, you guys don't look alike, but okay. I mean, I get it,
That's what I'm
whatever.
trying to think of. I'm trying to think of someone who you know I feel like oh you know, it's so this is funny, and the reason I'm probably gonna say him is just because we always get compared, and I don't even think he does anything in acting, but I think it would just be really funny. Is I don't know if you've heard of Lil Lotus or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the only reason I say that is because I think it would be hilarious if he even did anything with acting in the first place, and we just get compared all the time. So yeah, probably him until I can think of someone who actually acts. But
It's all good. uh, what advice? We're gonna have two more questions, and
cool.
what advice would you give 10-year-old you?
Oh man. Boy, I think See, I would say the cliche answer, like, hey, stick with it, like it's gonna happen for you, because obviously it did. But uh, 10-year-old me wouldn't have ever thought that. Um, Man, I probably would have just said like, I think to be 100% honest. So obviously everything worked out, and like here we are now. But I probably would have told myself, hey, stick to your own guns and don't do things to make other people, happy. Like, because I went to college because it was like the whole like, hey, you gotta have a plan B, go to college. I felt like I wasted 2 fucking years of my life, and then the fucking college ended up shutting down the whole corporation anyways, like 6 months later. And my credits are like whatever now and everything. I'm like, okay, great. So I think I would have told myself, listen to your gut instincts, listen to, like, not that, my family's never steered me wrong by any means. They've always been amazing and immensely supportive. And they always, of course, your family wants the best for you and everything. But I think I wish I would have just like gunned it for music and the things that I wanted to do a little bit sooner than I actually did, to be honest. So yeah, I probably was just giving myself that advice. Just go all in. That's really all it is. Go all in, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the advice, the question you asked earlier about giving advice to other people. Just go all in.
Oh
That's
yeah,
really what you have to do.
oh yeah. Before I ask my last question, I'm gonna give you the floor to be able to plug your socials where people could buy your merchandise and listen to you and all that other good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at August Lee Geitner. And same thing with Facebook, though I don't really use Facebook too much, but I do have it. And IMDb is August Lee Geitner. And let's see, what else am I missing? Oh, for merch, untilIwake.com. You can find merch there. And for Instagram and social media, it's just Until I Wake. So,
All right. Now here is the last question, and it's kind of like I'm gonna give you the floor. To all the people who have doubted you, what would you tell them?
oh man. uh, Thank you. I would tell them thank you, seriously, because that at the at the time, and people still doubt me to this day. People doubt everybody, to some degree, but and that never ends. But yeah, it's a huge thank you to them, because at the time, now I understand it, but back then I didn't understand it. It was frustrating. It's like, why do you doubt me? Like, like I can do this, And it's like once you think about it, it's like, no, you know what? That actually gave me the gas to fucking go ahead and really put my head down and like make things happen, like I grew up in school. I definitely was not the fucking cool kid, man. I was always the oddball out. I remember one time we were in like tech class, and I was watching Marilyn Manson's The Beautiful People music video, and everybody was like looking at the computer screen like, you're weird. Why the fuck are you watching that? I was not the fucking cool kid at all. So I was definitely doubted a lot. And like I said, everybody is to some degree, but it's just, yeah, thank you, because that definitely instilled a little bit of like angst in me that I definitely needed. I definitely
Oh
needed
yeah,
that to keep with what I wanted to do. And I think everybody should have that. So.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, funny you said that because I've said it on a couple of interviews already. So this was NC-17 wasn't NC-17 when it first started. It was a wrestling show, and
Wow.
I love wrestling, but
Cool.
and I was on someone else's platform, and I was like, something's got to change. And then I was told, well, that ain't gonna work, and this ain't gonna work. I was like, 2 years from now, look at me then tell me if it's not working. Now
Yeah.
that platform is down, and all them people, and this is I'm still friends with all of them,
Yep.
but they are now not doing what they want to do, and they're
Yeah,
all, I'm like, but they're more than welcome to come on this show anytime. Anybody is, so. But
that's awesome.
so I kind of, I'm picking up what you're laying down. So
No, I mean seriously, that's another thing. That's another bit of advice I'll give to people is like I've learned this too within the past few years. It's don't let people walk on you, but at the same time, do your best to not burn bridges. As frustrating as situations can be sometimes when you're faced with them, don't burn bridges because you never know like when someone's going to have an opportunity for you, or you're going to have perfect opportunity for them. People, everybody's a human being. People make mistakes. Now, if it happens repetitively and keeps happening, of course, that's when things are a problem, of course. But if it's a one or two time situation, it's not that detrimental to either of you. Do not burn a bridge, like seriously, you never know who's going to end up doing what and when you guys can really help each other.
oh yeah.
So
uh, well, we're about out of time. I want to thank you, August, for coming on. You
thank you
have
so
been
much
a
for having me on.
oh shoot. I tell everybody, and it ain't gonna stop now. Once you've been on NC-17, you have a home with us anytime. Even if you want to
Awesome.
come out and say you got a booger in your nose, which I clean it out every day because someone tried it one day.
Wow.
But I truly believe, and this is me going to praise you and until I wake for a second. I truly believe you guys are definitely going to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day.
Oh, thank you.
You know,
Thank you.
and I can guarantee if you guys ever make it up to Michigan, you're gonna make my wife a very happy person because she wants to see you guys perform. So,
Well, a funny little note about that, really quick, is I mean, we're from New York, but our stomping grounds are also in Michigan because our producer, he's actually well, he was based in Detroit, now he's based in Grand Rapids. But yeah, I mean, we've recorded all of our music in Michigan, and like we play Michigan quite frequently, and it's kind of our stomping grounds a little bit. Until I Wake was definitely built in Michigan, so
all right.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sure. Well, next time you're here, we're definitely gonna come check you out, my friend.
awesome, man. That sounds great.
All right. Until next time, everybody, stay in C17.
Hell yeah.